Everyone's not trying to get theirs and compete. And
that's right.
You have assignments. Do your assignment, do your job, and that elevates everybody else because everyone's not supposed to do the same thing. So the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, which created a bit of a hole at the wide receiver position, but Andy Reid doesn't think it's going to impact their offense too much.
I don't think it'll be significantly different. It'll be similar to what we did when in the games that Tyreek couldn't play in. We just there are certain things that he did very well that we'll have people try to fill in those spots, but without forcing anything. What we do on this is we try to play to the players' strengths the best we can. So we'll see with some of the new guys what they can do, and then we'll work around that.
I'm very interested to see how this plays out for both teams, for Kansas City and for Miami.
I have Andy Reid and Mahomes. I want to say they're going to be fine. I'm going to go with they're going to be fine.
Fine is such an interesting word.
Well, don't you like when somebody walks up and says, "Man, you're fine"?
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting word. Are they fine? Are they going to be fine? Is it like when you ask your girl if she's good and she's like, fine?
Oh, that's
fine?
bad. That is cold.
That's what I'm saying. What kind of fine are you talking about here? I do think that when you lose a player as dynamic as Tyreek Hill, you can't patchwork that. But you do have Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, they're not going to be as fast on the perimeter.
Right.
Or as explosive.
Because what Tyreek Hill does at the highest level cannot be duplicated.
That's right. But that doesn't mean they can't, because there's a lot of belief in the NFL. They're going to become a little bit more of a power team.
A little more physical.
Not as reliant on the home run, but always capable of it because of Patrick Mahomes. Look, Andy Reid has a history of figuring stuff out. If I have Mahomes in Andy's brain and Mahomes' talent, I just feel like it's like Buffalo. McDermott, Josh Allen, they're going to make the playoffs. If they're healthy, they can win a Super Bowl. For 10 years, Kansas City's good enough to win a Super Bowl with Mahomes and Reid. That's all I know.
Yes. Now, Tyreek Hill had over 1,200 yards, 111 receptions. So it's the volume also that they'll be missing.
He is what championship teams need. You get a free touchdowns.
Right.
You can't do 12-play drives consistently. Like, that's Stafford to Goff. Stafford will get you cheaper touchdowns. He's just got a bigger arm. He reads the defense better. Goff, everything was 12 plays. McVay's like, I can't coach perfectly.
But see, that's what makes me curious to see how they're going to replace him, because they needed that. They needed that in this postseason.
Now, they went out and got a speed guy from the Packers, so their takeaway is we're not going to be as fast, but we're not going to relinquish all of our cheap touchdowns.
Right, as long as we have somebody that can get down.
We'll get 5, not 12. But we're not going to give it up because we do like speed in our offense, and Mahomes has a huge arm.
I can't wait for the season.
So if a woman says, if you say you're fine, that's great.
You're like, Joy, how are you doing? Fine.
Oh, that's cold.
It's not good.
If I say to you tomorrow in the makeup room, how are you? And you say,
fine.
Oh boy, I said something. She's not happy with me.
No. Good is okay.
All right.
Fine is no good.
Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Raptors head coach Nick Nurse complaining to the officials about the way that he was being officiated in Game 1. And Embiid had a message for Nick Nurse at the end of Game 2.
He's a great coach, obviously. I got what he's been able to accomplish, and I've always been a big fan. But I told him, respectfully, told him to stop about calls because I saw what he said last game. If you're going, triple team somebody all game, they're bound to, get to the free throw line. I feel like, every fouls were legit and probably should have been more, honestly.
Embiid could be seen talking to Nick Nurse on the sideline near the end of the game, and Nick Nurse said that Embiid told him, I'm going to keep making all the free throws if you keep fouling. And Embiid went 12 for 14 from the line, and this is a huge advantage for Joel Embiid that he is hitting his free throws because he's getting fouled at that rate and going to the line, make your free throws, and that's a huge difference in the game. He went to the line 11 times in game one. It was 9 for 11. So he finished with 31 points and 11 rebounds. And now the Sixers have a 2-0 lead. We're showing them arguing 2-0 lead over the Raptors in the series after a 112-97 win last night. I mean, they're handling the Raptors pretty easily.
Well, we said this going into the playoffs. I think we both picked the Sixers.
Yes.
And our takeaway is the Sixers have flaws but no ceiling.
Right.
The Raptors don't have any flaws, but a clear ceiling. Like, who do you go to with 3 minutes left? Fred VanVleet's like, okay, I got Harden. By the way, Maxey is an ascending player, and there are moments when he takes over the game as their three.
Well, when you're mostly, I don't want to say even, but when you have two talented rosters, when you have two good head coaches and two, I don't know if I want to say Philadelphia has a great culture as of yet. Toronto certainly does. When you have two strong cultures, I'll say that. Then it comes down to the stars.
Yeah.
Who has better stars? If everything else was mostly even, or at least, comparable, you got to come down to the stars, and the Sixers have more. And that's really what's making a big difference in this situation. Also, Joel Embiid is a pretty big guy, and he's great. He's in the MVP race, like finished in top 3. Could possibly win it, and that's what it is. Nick Nurse is a great coach. This is why I picked the Raptors the year that they got Kawhi, because they are a great regular season team. They're well run, talented, have good culture. The stars make the difference when everything else is even, and I think this is going to be a short series between those two teams. So Marcus Smart has been named the NBA Defensive Player of the Year. It's the first Defensive Player of the Year for Smart. He's the first guard to take it home since Gary Payton in the 95-96 season, and Smart and Gary Payton are the only 2 point guards to have won it. Gary Payton was there presenting, introducing it to him. I love how they waited until Gary was out of the way before they started throwing all the water. Smart said he was blown away by the honor. Mikal Bridges and Rudy Gobert ended up second and third. He finished the season ranked 7th in the NBA in steals, 5th among all NBA guards in defensive rating.
He's a great example. Marcus Smart, day one in the league. Now, when he first broke into the league, I think he was an Oklahoma State guy. He was a defender. He couldn't shoot. And he's become more reliable offensively. Marcus Smart is a great example of there's some things he's not going to do. He reminds me a little of Bruce Bowen, who played with the Spurs. I mean, Marcus could score more, but he understands totally what the Celtics need of him. He is an annoyance. He plays hard. He can be physical. He is wildly valuable to this franchise. Not everybody's a finisher. You need guys like this on championship teams. Draymond Green totally gets his role. Defend, annoy, move the ball.
Make things difficult for the other team's best player.
The greatest teams ever. Warriors have their glue guy Draymond. The Chicago Bulls had a lot of different players.
Rodman.
Ron Harper. Ron Harper could score 25 a night. He knew with the Bulls that wasn't his role. And I think Marcus Smart is a credit to Marcus getting it. That, listen, I'm going to have a 20-year career here, but I'm everybody can score in college. But then you get to the NBA and a coach says, hey, I don't want you to shoot much. And for a lot of guys, they just can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone doesn't need to be the scorer in the NBA. I say this all the time, and I don't know that the Celtics are a championship team this year, but teams that are competitive every single year, that are there every single year and in the conversation, they have great role players, and everyone appreciates what it is that they're supposed